Hey there everybody, and welcome back to my wormery. Just one more sneak peek at how things are progressing in my latest time-lapse creation. There you go. It was a quick frame taken there as we check in. Earlier today I added some grit and cabbage leaves to the top layer. They're coming right up to the glass. They're not bashful. But once we leave, they're going to be back in darkness, providing a nice comfortable space for them to squirm around in. So, peek at how things are progressing, so let's get over to feeding my bins. Oh yes, of course, I almost forgot, before we go into the wormery to feed, let's give you guys a quick update on this one as well. I gave you a view of it from the other angle last time. So this one is now in excess of 8 weeks old. There's really not much action left anymore. It's just such a thin, paper thin, dry sheet of skin left there that the worms and the other creatures in the bin don't seem very interested in what's happening there. So it's still moving slowly, but it's really not as interesting as it was during the first couple of weeks. So yep, just wanted to give you guys another peek at the other time lapse in progress. So a couple things to set your sights on in the near future. All right, off to the feeding. Here we have the bins with the newest bin, just started a couple weeks ago on January 2nd. Going counterclockwise to the oldest bins that I have here, and these guys are now, I guess, approaching the 120-day age. And I guess what I was after here was, since I don't really have lids for these containers, I was just looking to provide them with a little additional moisture to encourage them to work the material on the surface too. And you can see they've been attracted to the condensation that collects on the inner surface of the container. So not so much here, but you can see a few pieces of vermicompost up the walls. So you don't see me doing this very often. Usually I've just got the cardboard and paper preventing evaporation, but here I really wanted to get the top layer of the material wet as well, so I have created the terrarium effect. So here's the food. We've got some frozen stuff out here set to thaw. We've got our coffee, some grit. Let's get some bins out here and feed them, and we'll get to see how the mangoes, what we fed them last week, is coming along. Let's check it out. Okay, so this is bin number 1 of 2 bins that I refer to as sister bins because they were launched on the same day, September 19th. So as you saw a moment ago, this bin was covered, so that was allowing more moisture to sort of remain on this top surface. This is a piece of bread. I normally don't feed bread, but I've seen people do it, so I figured I would give it a try. Since these are sister bins, both bins have been set up with both a piece of bread. Look how dusty that bread is. Huh? It's the mold. And a tea bag, just to see how they do. Let's peek in here to see how the mangoes that we added last week are coming along. Here is one of them. They were all cut in half. So here is the cut edge of the pit. I think they're going to start really digging what's on the inside there, because every time I have mango pits, the worms are really into those. So let's see how it goes. So there's definitely worms starting to come over here. Since this other end was the previously set up horizontal migration feeding zone, almost all the worms were over here. So now the idea is to get them back over to the other side, sweep through all the material, and really give the bin a good chance to get broken down completely that way. Okay, just take some of this to be eaten stuff and get it over on this side as well. Give them some food. Just gonna pull things away a little bit, try to give myself a little spot. Start with some coffee. What have we here? We're going to give them some cantaloupe. try to keep it really tasty and tempting for them. Try to get them over to this side of the bin. I'll throw in a banana peel or two as well. Up the ante. Make it completely irresistible to them. How does that look? Maybe just one more little piece of cantaloupe, a little more chunk that fell out, and let's cover it up. Alright, sister bin number 2, more of the same. Like I mentioned earlier, they're being kept in sync with one another, so here's the 2 pieces of bread and the tea bag. See, one thing we didn't do previously was look at the old feeding zone. So this hasn't been fed for a couple weeks. But like I mentioned last week, as soon as this runs out on this side, they've got that other end waiting for them. Alright. More mango. But it's nice to see some worms making their way into here. Here's the second of 3, and here's the third piece. Okay, in goes coffee. Alrighty. Same as before, give them some banana peel, cantaloupe. Can't resist the melon. Definitely has to be on the top of their favorites list. Another piece of banana. I think that should do for now. And push back the rest. Okay, looking good. Get these test materials out here for them to try. Just don't like that dust coming off the bread. Don't want to be breathing in that mold. So like I had before, I'm going to put the terrarium effect back on these, so I'll put the overturned bins on these to keep the moisture circulating and give it the ability to settle on the top. The moisture in the bin as well. Help keep it nice and cozy for them. Alrighty, so that leads us to our third bin to be fed today. Now this bin, every time I look in here, it's just teeming with worms. It's a very active bin. Hopefully I've been feeding it adequately enough to keep them all satisfied. Here's another little piece of bread, not quite as moldy as the one that was added to the other ones. Look at this little guy. Where did he come from? Alrighty, little spider friend. And we can also see some plants are trying to establish roots here. They're really thick, whatever these are. They're now worm food. So I'm just going to stick to keeping the feeding zone in the middle, keeping it there for the time being. See great numbers of worms. The material in this bin is a little bit more damp than the other 2 sister bins. Oh, here's the mango that we added last week. It's so slimy I can barely grab a hold of it. See, some little guys are trying to make their way at the pit now, so that's something. I guess there's a lot of good nourishment inside the pit that they like. Piece of corn. Okay. Leftover chunks of corn, leftover mango from the previous feeding. Got all kinds of goodies in progress down here. What's this? Here's that half a mango from the, I don't think this was from the ones that I fed last week, because this seed has almost been completely emptied. Yeah, look at that. And they'll eat the shell and everything, but you can see that they really go after whatever's in the inside. Very nice. Very nice to see how things are progressing. Time to make a little space to add more food. These large pieces of cardboard back down where they belong. Here's a piece of corn. Get that back down where it belongs. And we can give some banana peel, some delicious cantaloupe. It says cabbage, piece of cabbage. There's another piece of cabbage leaf. I'll give it a little bit of coffee too. And something I forgot to add in the previous two bins to the sister bins, but I was going to add some grit. Kind of growing a new appreciation for grit. That time lapse that's going on out there in the dark. First thing that they came for was the grit. They ate up all the eggshells first, and then they proceeded to the other food items in the bin, but they were first drawn to the grit. I was amazed. So that's part of the reason you see even more grit added this last go around. I'm just probably going to start upping the amount of grit that I provide my worms with, and not treat it as such a, not be so stingy with it like I've been in the past. Okay, things are looking very good in this bin. This bin is a real front runner with all of them. Looking terrific. Let's get this piece of bread back here for whatever it's worth. And we've got one last bin to feed, and we're finished for the day. Okay. Okay, so you'll remember that this bin was a little bit unusual, as that it is set up in a shoebox. There were little pill bug friends hanging out. Got some grit, mango half number 1, mango half number 2. I think we only added 3 halves or 2 halves to this bin. It's kind of small, but this should be adequate, I hope. I'm just going to drop in the remainder of the coffee that I've got. Pepper in some grit for them. See, I'm being pretty generous with the grit all of a sudden, right? Change of heart. And last but not least, the delicious fruits and veggies. These guys are going to have an exclusive here. They're the only ones that are going to get broccoli. Okay, and that's about it for the day. All that's left is just to cover up a little bit here and wash a few things, and we'll be done for the day with. Alright everybody, well, thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, I'm always encouraging people to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and by all means ask questions if you have them. I always appreciate everyone's feedback and participation, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for coming. Take care now. Bye.